Oh, welcome to my Hebrew channel, Miel Hebraica, and today I'm doing the third video of the series that I'm doing on Ehud. So if you want to get the most out of this video, look at the previous two so that you have a sequence there. In the previous two, I've been sort of developing some of the things that had happened there at Jericho, and in this particular video, I hope to resolve that. If I haven't quite resolved it, send me some questions about things that might have been still pending. Judges 3:24, and Ehud left, and the servants came and looked, and hey, the doors of the upstairs room were bolted. And they said, he's covering his feet in the closet of the breezeway. Hugh Yatsa, and he went out. This is Ehud. He left. Doesn't say exactly how, he just left. That's we're into the next phase of the story, and Ehud is on his way. Avadav and his servants, Ba'u, came, Ve'yeru, and they saw. These are both third-person endings here. Ve'yeru, Ve'hinine, and wow, look, behold, Dalatot, the two sheets of the doors, the doorways, the sheets of the door. Aliyah, of the upper room. Ne'ulot, they're bolted, they're locked, they're solid, tight, shut. And these are both feminine plurals here, Dalatot, Ne'ulot. Vayomaru, and they said, among themselves, Ak, oh, this is an exclamation thing. It's right here. Meshich, he's covering. Meshich is to cover something. It's put a covering over it. Hugh, him. Et reglav, he's covering his feet, which is very well known. Hebrew idiom of going to the bathroom. When you did so, usually if you were out in an open field, you just simply found a good spot. And the ones that really did it well had to have a little trenching tool, and you'd cut a little hole in the ground. You'd throw your robe around you, and then do your business, and then cover it up again. So they're saying, well, no, he's inside the little room here. He's in the aliyah, and he's covering his feet. Baheder, in the chamber, in the closet. This is a heder. Even today in modern Hebrew, the word is heder ambatia. That's the place of the bathroom. So heder, the chamber or the closet. Mikara. Mikara is repeated a couple, 2 or 3 times in here. So it's just emphasizing the fact. Yeah, here it is. No, Mikara is the breezeway. Now, some of the translations put in here the cool spot, but yeah, it might have been a little bit cooler than other places, but it's a place that was receiving the breezes. In other words, an open hole, breezeway coming through it. Judges 3:25, and they waited until they were embarrassed. But when he still did not open the doors of the upper room, they took the key and they opened them, and surprise, I think the word hinine pops up. Yeah, here it is, hinine. Their Lord fallen down dead. Va Yahilu. Yahilul is, I did a little research on this word, and it's very interesting in that I've always had the word galgil as something where you're spinning around and you're spinning like a top. And this is actually the same family. In fact, it's the chet right here takes the place of the gima. So yegalu, in other words, they were milling about would be a little more accurate translation of this. They were milling about, okay? Milling about. Yechalul adbosh, until they were embarrassed, until they were ashamed of themselves, okay? We're wasting our time here. Something's happening and we don't know what to do here. So they're milling about until they were embarrassed about the whole thing, until they were ashamed. Vehinine, eininu, and behold, Nothing was coming from him. Okay, this is nothing happening. Okay, Ein, there wasn't anything. Nenu, from him. Potea, to be opening. This is to be opening. This is a OA, a sequence of vowel sounds like that. That will be a participle here. He's not opening. Dalatot, the doors. Ha'aliyah, of the upper room. Yekahu, and then they found, they obtained, or they got a hold of. Yekahu, this often the root will be here lamed kof chet, and the lamed's been disappeared, and in its place you have the Yekahu, and they took and they got a hold of. Okay, kav, you can remember this one. Kav is a very root consonant that was something that you it's a string with a knot, something that you can hang on to. So okay, so they found the key, might have a string with a knot on it. Okay, Yekahu et ha mafteach. Ha-mafteach. Now, it's interesting, and this word, by the way, is related to the next word, which is patahu, and then they opened. And this is so the opener, okay? Ha-mafteach, haftahu, this is the key, okay? The opener. And we're talking, 7th, 8th century before Christ, or even earlier than that. And you kind of ask, how in the world did somebody have a key back then? And many people said, oh, this is, they're sort of inventing the story at a time when keys would have come later. But archaeologists have discovered in their archaeology very interesting instruments, and it's something that looks like a small rake with a hand on it, and then it's got tines on the thing. And apparently the way the keys worked in those days, they'd put it through a hole in the door, and then they'd turn the thing around, and then it had to go through some small gates, and then after it did that, it would lift up the bar that was inside the door. So just to open this door. So it's a very ingenious system based on the way it was quite obvious that in ancient times when people wanted to kind of lock their places up after they left, you would put your hand in and move the bar on the inside of the door and pull it into place. And now they just mechanically did that with a little instrument. And this instrument then was known in years, hamafteach. Learn the word, you can use it in modern Hebrew as well. The plural of it is maftehot. It's a feminine noun here. Ha-mafteach. And they opened them, they unlocked the door, the dalatot. Hine, and wow, surprise! This is the second time hine is used in here. It's kind of interesting to see hine. Okay, oh, now this happens and now that happens. Okay, hine adonihem, their Lord. Okay, of them. Adonai is Lord, and this is of their Lord. This is a pronoun, a plural pronoun on the end of this particular noun right here. Adonihem. Nofel. And here's potet. This is opened, and this is nofel, fallen. Okay. Boom. Splattered on the ground. Nofel. Met. No questions. They could look at him, and there didn't have to be any efforts at resuscitation. He was very definitely dead, and might have for a piece of time already occurred since his passing. And so what we know is that Ehud had gone up to Gilgal, and then he had returned to the city of Palms. He had assassinated Eglon, and he's returning then to the stands of flax stands at the Jordan. And so if you're going to think about just about every other escape route over in here would have had him running over open country. Here he was running through the vegetation, and especially when he got down here to the, in fact, the story mentions numerous spots of brush and things that he could hide in. and places he could clean himself up. So this is kind of what we're heading for in terms of what Ehud had done. Now Ehud slipped away. And here, there's a key word right here. It's a word that we already used or studied in the story of Lot when he was running from Sodom down to Zoar. And at that spot, he was running along the shoreline of the Dead Sea, falling into the mud holes, the mud pits that, and some of them filled with asphalt, some of them just filled with black mud. So by the time he got Zoar, he was quite a sight. He was plastered in mud. In other words, this word here, malat, is somebody who's covered with goo. Okay, somebody who's covered with goo. And so Ehud slipped away. Ehud malat ad hit maham. And ma is a question. Ma zot asita. Ma say ma. So these people are standing around in a circle. We already know they're kind of going around in circles because of the Hilil. So it says, this then is, oh, what's happened? What's happened? What's happened? What's happened? It's a conference, and they're trying to sort out, what's going on. And while they're talking among themselves, Ehud's putting some space between Jericho and his escape plan. Now, this particular word, the fact that and he escaped, okay, escaping himself, malat, and he also this particular malat, malat, appears twice in here, and we're going to see it one more time in the story in another context. But this one is where Ehud slipped away and he slid through the brush. This explains what had happened back at the Aliyah, at the upper room. Ehud, or Eglon, was a very corpulent individual, did not want to climb stairs, did not want to go out into the woods to do his business. He had it set up there so that there was a shaft for his dirty stuff down inside the building somewhere. And that was the way out of the building for Ehud. He had stabbed Eglon, and then after that just jumped down the shaft that was used for the king's feces, and of course he was very covered, and it makes us understand the rest of the story. He just kind of found the fastest route he could get back to the Jordan to clean himself up, and so he was a very sorry sight. And this also explains this particular installation was out of sight of everybody. They didn't see him go. They went down there and down into the sewage channel and off on his way, and they simply didn't see him on his way. They weren't looking at that spot, part of the building, so that was how he made his escape. In many of the what we would call the very powerful, very energetic men of the Old Testament, we find them doing very powerful, energetic things. And of course, this was a very powerful, energetic thing. I'm pretty sure it provided the basis of when all the other Israelites start talking about following Ehud. Yes, this man really knows how to accomplish things. So, Ehud, malat, ad, hit, mahamahim. They were talking. What's going on? What's going on? You just notice how this mah is repeated right here. Ma, okay, ma. Vehu avar, and then he crossed, he slipped through et ha fishilim. Okay, now in the previous video I've talked about how I understand this could be translated as idols or other things, tablets or carved images and stuff like that. But fishilim is very close to pishtim. And so I call these things flax bushes, and that's what you would have growing in that area there. So he pushed through there, malat, and he slipped through. And then most of the translations will take this one as zerata, okay, zerata, as a place. Now you can look through all the other parts of what this is as a town or a place name. It's not really a place name. It's and then if you take a look at right here, Zerah, and anybody who's been reading the book of Ruth will know right away This is one of the roots for barley. In other words, it's a plant with it's literally it's a plant with hair on it. Okay, so the plant with the hair on it. Okay, malat Hebraica. Okay, and I think the closest thing we can get to understanding what this might be would be just to call it brush. Okay, the plants with the bush on it, the brush. And if you're going to understand what was happening, he's into the dense underbrush that's just alongside the river. Perfect place to escape from the attention of whoever would be looking for him. And he just followed that on up until he's far enough away from Jericho that he could, later on with nightfall, of course, he could then get out of there and head back into his own territory. But and then after he arrived, he sounded the ram's horn throughout the hill country of Ephraim. The Israelites came down with him from the hill country, and he became their leader. Vehi babo, and as he arrived, Veyitka, and he blew. Shofar. Shofar is the ram's horn. It's the trumpet that was used to call people to. Same thing that Joshua used when they were walking around Jericho. Shofar gets a lot of use and for calling things into order and into battle plan and so forth. The Bashofar, Bahar in the mountaintop or the hill country. Ephraim. Okay, this is Ephraim is Ephraim. V'yaradu, and they descended. Imo with him. Bnei Israel, sons of Israel. Men hahar, from, this is a preposition of where you're coming from. Men hahar, from the mountain. Rehu, and he, lifnihem, was before them. This is a preposition and a pronoun here. And he was before them. He was their leader. He stood before them. He told them, follow me, because Jehovah has handed over your enemies, the Moabites, to you. And so they followed him, captured the fords of the Jordan leading to Moab, did not allow anyone to cross over. Vayomer elchem, and he said to them, Ridifu, follow, achri, after me, ki natan, so to give, because, this is because Yahweh, Jehovah, ki natan, has given, et oi behem, your enemies, oi behem, et Moab, that is Moab, yadahem, into your hands. Yardu, and then they descended. This is incidentally, here it's very, very, very interesting. This is the verb form, okay? Yardu, and they descended. This is the noun, and this is ha yarden, okay? So they descended and to the descending river. So this is the Jordan, okay? So they descended to the Jordan. Same root right here, Yod, Resh, Dalet, okay? This one's a verb, okay? Vayardu. This one's a noun, ha yarden. So they descended to the Jordan. Achare, after him, behind him. Va yel kadu, and they captured, they grabbed, they captured. Et abarot. Aver is to cross over. And when you take this ayin bet resh and put a mem on the front of it, you're making it into a noun, okay? The crossing over. This, aver, cross. Maver, to cross. And maverot, the crossings. Feminine ending of the plural right here. Okay, and then they took a hold of the crossings, the fords. Hayarden, le Moab, from to Moab, Velo Natanu, and they did not give or allow Ish Levar. Okay, here you can see the relationship between Ma'abarot and Levar. You got Ayin Bet Resh, and this is a lamad of purpose, preposition of purpose in front of a verb, and this verb then, because of this preposition, becomes an infinitive, to cross, and then to cross, and then the ma'abarot is the crossings. Okay, so you can just see the relationship between these two words right here, Maborot and Le'avor. At that time, they struck down about 10,000 Moabites, all strong, able-bodied men, and not one slipped away. Yes, one last chance at using the malat. Okay, and this time it wasn't Ehud; it was the Moabites who, and this one is a negative then. Lo, nemalat. Okay, they didn't get away. Each, not one. Okay, each one. In English, it's kind of an easy way to learn this or remember this word. Each is each one. Okay, one, each person, each man. But Yaku, and incidentally, this word to me it seems to appear a lot more in singular, but here it's in plural. Okay, singular would be yak. Okay, but in plural it's Yaku, and they struck at Moab, the Moabites, the Moab, Be'et Hahu in that time, which is a demonstrative pronoun right at that time. Okay, Asharet Elafim, about, this is a preposition of about, Asharet, about 10 Elafim, 10,000, Ish, men, Kol, shaman is greasy, heavy types, okay, they're all, well, healthy types. Then the Moabites had become, I'd say overweight, and so shaman is, grease. Okay, in Isaiah, call of Isaiah, the hearts of the people are greasy, shaman, but this is called shaman. They call both of these, by the way, are kames hatuv, and so all call ish, and each man. Hayil is, he was powerful. This word is used for strength and for worthy. In other words, the word translated here is able-bodied. Also means morally upstanding. In other words, Eshet Hayil, the virtuous woman, Gibor Hayil, a virtuous man. But here, these are powerful men. In other words, they weren't pushovers. But the Lord was on Israel's side at this point, and so they could strike them. Below Nemalat, not one slid through there. Not one was a slippery person. They were slippery, but they couldn't slip through. Okay, the Lord wouldn't let them get away. Below Nemalat, ish, not one slipped through. Well, Tikan, Moab here became subject to Israel that day. The land was peaceful for 80 years. Tikana, Moab, Yom Hahu, and Moab was subject, was struck down. Tikana, Moab, Yom Hahu, and that day, Tachat, under Yad, under the hand of Israel. When you put something under the hand of, that's to be subject to. So Tachat, under the hand of Israel. We saw the word Tachat, by the way, because that's where the sword was hidden under the clothing of Ehud. But here the word Tachat is used for under the hand of Israel. Tishkot, and was peaceful. Aretz, the land, Shem Monim Shana, for 80 years. Incidentally, the generation cycles were 40 years. Okay, so in other words, each generation is expected to cover a span of about 40 years. And so when you have here Shmonim Shana, that's actually 2 generation spans. So actually twice as much blessing from what Ehud could accomplish. At some way we could understand Ehud had such an impact that his impact was lasting. It wasn't just a year or two of being rid of the Moabites, but it was quite a bit longer time span. And our author had a chance to get back to comparing these two things. You have the Yad Shemolo, that is the left hand, okay, gave Shemonim, okay, gave 80 years, Shana, Shemoni Shana. In other words, what would have been considered the undesirable, the weak hand, was able to give 80 years of peace. And there's a Bible, or there's something that allows us to understand what happens here. In other words, if you were checking out all the people of Israel and wanted to have one of them as a leader to lead the force against the Moabites, physically speaking, Ehud wouldn't have been considered. His right hand wasn't very useful at all, and he would have been out of the running if you had to do your selection on man's basis. But God, when God picks somebody to do something, even though that person has physical disabilities, go ahead. In other words, we can take that understanding here, that what God wants to accomplish something, he will use the weak people of this world to accomplish it. And that's something that we can understand from this particular story. The land was peaceful then for 80 years. The double generation then was something that God gave to Israel. So a great little story, lots of interesting things happening in here. Maybe to our sense of the way the Bible should be written, maybe has a little bit too much graphic detail, but makes it a very interesting story, and also allows us to look at the lives of the people of that day. So may God bless, and may God use even the weak people of this world to fulfill his glory. And until the next time.